Good afternoon. This afternoon I'm going to talk about Women's Month. The 9th of August 1956, we have seen over 20,000 women that actually walk to the union buildings against the extension of the past laws. The government of South Africa declared the 9th of August as Women's Day, and we will celebrate Women's Month in August. The theme internationally used for Women's Month is #BalanceForBetter, which actually means a balanced world is a better world. And I'm actually glad to have with me this afternoon two of my colleagues, two staff members at the University of the Free State. We have Dr. Musa Serombe, a senior lecturer in the Department of Industrial Psychology, and Dr. Serombe has been elected on the list, the 2019 Mail and Guardian 200 Young South Africans. And then we also have with us Itumeleng Satsi, a junior lecturer in the Department of Occupational Therapy. She's been on the 2019 News 24 100 Young Mandelas of the Future. So good afternoon, and it's great to just talk and have a conversation with you. So there's about three questions that I want to ask each of you. And I'm going to start with you, Dr. Serombe. Being on the list of the 2019 Mail and Guardian 200 Young South Africans, how did it happen that you were named on the list?
How it happened for me to be named on the list was pretty much starting from my background and how I attained my PhD, becoming the youngest PhD graduate in Africa, the youngest female particularly, which really caused a ripple effect throughout the country and across the continent as well. And also in terms of the research that I have been conducting in my niche, that is talent management, that got me on the list, I believe, in a nutshell.
Okay, but that's fantastic. Itumeleng, and in your particular case, the 2019 News 24 100 Young Mandelas of the Future?
How I was nominated was that last year I was on the Mail and Guardian 200 Young South Africans.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, so I think that caused the ripple effect, and News 24 recognized me this year. But it also has a lot to do with the research that I'm doing, particularly in mental health, where I look at long-term mental health service users and how they're marginalized and just giving them a voice. And so, yeah, so I think that's how I got my footing.
Right. In an earlier program that I did, we actually talk about mental health, and one of those very important diseases actually that we've got on our campuses, not only here but also in other campuses in the country and globally, and how important it is to deal with that effectively. But Itumeleng, let me start with you now. What does it actually mean to you being on the list?
I think for me, as a young girl that grew up in the dusty streets of Leboagomo, it just first of all means that my dreams are valid, but it also means that the work that I'm doing with this marginalized group is being recognized, and that finally long-term service users who have very much for a very long time been on the long end of the stick are now finally getting a voice, and they are now being recognized. And yeah, so for me it really means that the work that I'm doing is validated. Yeah.
And somebody is using it and actually reading through it and
Yes.
applying it.
Yes.
Dr. Serombe, in your particular case, what does it mean to you?
In my case, it really is such a humbling, experience to be part of the list, especially when you go back, and retrospectively consider all the people that have been on the list. It's really an amazing feat, and I'm truly humbled. I mean, when I found out that I got nominated for the list, it was something huge. And then after being invited for the actual event, there still was another short listing. So they projected the names of everyone who actually made it onto the list. And it was like it was a very surreal moment, just seeing your face pop up on that screen, because everyone in the room is so deserving of it, and everyone has done so well. People are really doing amazing things out there, so it's really an honor.
So what I would like to ask the two of you, August is Women's Month, and starting with you, Dr. Serombe, what does it actually mean to you?
To me, Women's Month, and in particular Women's Day, is like a moment of silence, you know. I mean, consider how when someone sacrifices their life for a worthy cause or for someone else, you know, someone else's benefit, often when these people are celebrated, perhaps there is an observation of a moment of silence in the room. And so Women's Day is a way of this country taking a pause and saying we are remembering what the heroic act of the women of 1956. And also on a yearly basis, this becomes a reminder of where this country envisages itself to be also in the future in terms of gender equality and ensuring that women have the opportunities that they deserve.
Okay, well that's nicely said.
Yeah.
Itumeleng?
I very much agree with what she said about the sacrifice that the women of 1956 made and just how great that was. But personally, for me, it also means that women have no excuses anymore. We don't have excuses to be mediocre. We don't have excuses not to achieve our dreams. We don't have excuses not to be the great versions of ourselves because people have gone ahead of us and they've sacrificed a life so that we can have what we have today. And even though the level is not plain yet, it just means that we have a platform now. We have a place to begin, whereas previously we didn't have that. So for me, it's a very great sacrifice. My birthday is on the 9th of August, so I've sort of put so much pressure on myself to just be the greatest version of myself because really there's no excuse not to be.
Yeah. You obviously are two very strong women. If you have to give a message to first of all women on the campus and women out there, what will be that specific message? Any one of you could start first.
You go.
I would say, just as she already alluded to, there is no excuse anymore. You cannot keep hiding behind being previously disadvantaged. The question is, what opportunity do you have now? And how are you exploiting whatever opportunity comes your way? And considering that it's not only for personal actualization, but there are other people that draw strength from whatever you do. And we need to be women that lead by example. So whatever you're doing, know that you have younger sisters and people back in your community. They are waiting to see what will become of you. And from that, they're able to draw strength and become the best versions of themselves as well. And so it just continues to cascade as well that they will also be exemplary to other people. So that will create and build a stronger nation, especially allowing women to take their place in that larger building of a prosperous nation.
Itumeleng?
For me, I've realized that a lot of young people have dreams. We carry big dreams that sometimes scare us and sometimes seem unachievable. But one thing that I would tell a woman out there is that start doing. Start working towards that dream. Start sacrificing the nights of the hours of sleep that you take in a day. Start sacrificing the time you take on social media to actually invest in your dreams. Because the truth of the matter is no one is going to come from anywhere to come and work on the dreams that you have. So you are responsible to make your dreams a reality. And you are responsible to make sure that every single dream that you carry is realized, not only for yourself, but for the people in your communities that are watching you and expecting something of you.
So we've heard a balanced world is a better world, and it was indeed a pleasure for me to talk to two very strong women, and we're proud, and I'm certainly proud, to have them as colleagues and as staff members at the University of the Free State. And what is clear is not only going to be about the 9th of August, it's not only going to be about August as Women's Month, but what do we learn, what do we get out of that to take forward? And what is clearly came out of the discussion and the conversation is that there can't be excuses anymore. We just have to move forward. And once again, thank you very much for this wonderful conversation.